Okay, this video has been so requested from so many people for a while now, and I kind of put it off because I've been focused on like 1,000 other things. So I'm gonna talk all about my favorite makeup brushes today. I'm even gonna talk about some of the ones that I don't really love, and I'm gonna explain why. So hopefully that can help you save your money on things, depending on what you're looking for. I'm gonna have a big sip of this coffee and we are gonna dive in. Okay, so I'm going to start with my favorite foundation brushes and kind of work through brushes the way that I would my routine and how I put things on. So we're gonna start with my absolute favorite foundation brush. I use this pretty much every day now. I talk about it all the time when people ask me. It's the Morphe Jaclyn Hill foundation brush. You can see it's dirty because I use this thing literally every time I put my foundation on. It works well with creams, liquids. I've used it with powder. It kind of works. Oh, we have a visitor. Oh God, she's gots to go. You gots to go, kid. I love you, but you gots to go. She's so cute though. Ugh. Okay, so I literally use this foundation brush with every type of foundation product. It works beautifully. It has very minimal streaking. I like the size of this. It's not so big that like it's getting all over my eyes when I'm applying stuff. But it's also small enough. It maneuvers around the nose really easily, around the eyes. You can stipple with it. You can really just get in there. It doesn't soak up too much product, which I really love. This has just been like the most perfect foundation brush, and I think it was only like $15. It's not super expensive. I got it at our local Morphe store. We have one in the mall. Highly recommend. Another one that I really like is the Tarte. It's a giant like kabuki style, and this brush I've had for years. This is a fantastic brush. It is a little bit bigger though, so I like this for more sheer product. It does buff everything out, pretty much airbrushed. It's just like a bigger variety of the Morphe brush. But this is a great brush too. This one's quite a bit more expensive. I think it's around $30 to $32. I can't remember exactly. So kind of moving. Ow, my cat just murdered my foot. Oh God. Yeah, okay, I'm okay. We're not bleeding. Oh, that hurts so bad. Okay, moving on. Let's bring the focus back. So foundation brushes I've kind of covered. I do have, where is it? This old school like foundation brush. It's a Chanel flat one. I don't use this brush a ton. I feel like it streaks quite a bit. Sorry, making sure I'm not bleeding. It does streak quite a bit. Unless you were doing like concealer, I actually love this for concealer. I think it gets under the eye beautifully. You can go around the nose really easily. It just takes too long for foundation for me. It leaves some streaks. I don't love it for foundation. I always end up patting it in with my fingers. It doesn't give me a super airbrushed look, but I like this for concealer and I like going around and detailing. So this is good for that. This is a kind of a funny pick for concealer. I've talked about this before. It's a Real Techniques brush. This is the, I believe it's a 300. And this is actually supposed to be more for like the crease. I love this for concealer. It's just like, it's such a great size for under the eyes. It gives a really airbrushed appearance because it's this beautiful kind of dome shape. It doesn't pick up too much product, so you're not like soaking under the eyes or anything like that or around the nose. I love this brush. I think this is fantastic for concealer. I've tried it with eye products like eyeshadows and stuff, but I don't feel like I have the control that I want. It's a little bit too big, I feel like. If you were doing like one single shadow color all over, I think this would be great, but for more detail work and really kind of differentiating between the colors, I just don't like this for that. These brushes I think are so important. Yes, I have two of them. I love them. They are the Real Techniques brush. What are these? They call it the setting brush, which I do use this like if I ever bake under my eyes, which my eyes get smudgy, so I do tend to bake and powder around my eyes a lot. This is such a great size for getting in here. I've used this to blend out contours. I've used this for one shadow all over. I've used this for bronzing. I've used this for blush. I have used this brush for almost everything you can imagine. I love it. That is why I have 2 of them. And they don't sell this by itself anymore. They sell it with, I don't remember how many, I think it's like 4 or 5 brushes total. It's very, very smart on their part because this is such a great brush. And so you're going to make a lot more money if you have like a whole big kit, and people have to pay more, which is kind of annoying. But I did get the kit with this brush because I had to have a backup in case this one is dirty. A very similar type of brush. This is one from Sephora. I believe this is a 79. Also a really great dome size. This one's a little bit bigger in comparison to the Real Techniques brush. You can see the brush head is a little bit bigger. But I think this brush is also great for bronzing. I like this for setting under my eyes. I've used it for blush. It's a very versatile type of brush. I can't remember what they called this one. Pro Contour. You can do so much more than contour with this brush. I love it. For powder, I've had a couple different powder brushes over the years. A lot of times powder brushes can be either too dense or too light and airy, and then they just kind of like throw the product everywhere. So this one was gifted to me from Vapour. I love Vapour. This brush is kind of a new one from their line, and it's pretty big. You can see I don't know. I love the size of it. It's not overly dense. It's not too loose. It's got a really, really nice taper on it. You can see I've got some powder on it because I just powdered my face. I love this brush. It's incredibly soft. Highly recommend this one. Now, let's talk about blush. I have 2 that I really love. One more for cream and then one more for powder. I'll start with the powder. This is the Sappho brush. You can see I've used this recently. It was gifted to me. I like that this brush, it's got the right amount of density and flex to the bristles. So it deposits a really beautiful amount of color, but you can also really kind of shear it out so it's not like a really hard line. I don't like my blush to ever look too hard or concentrated. I want it to be very soft and diffused, and this brush is fantastic for that. The other brush that I really like, it's a Real Techniques. As you can tell, I love Real Techniques if you haven't picked up on that yet. This was part of that combo set with this little guy and this one too. They came together. It came with a powder brush too it was actually a blush brush and I didn't like it. This is the 200 and it's supposed to be for foundation. You can use it for that. It works okay. I think I don't know, it's just it's okay for that. I love it for cream blushes though. I actually used this one today to buff in a cream blush. This one, it's got a little more density to the bristles and a little more firmness than the one that I like for powder. You could use this for cream too. It's just quite a bit softer. This one's got a little more push to it. You can really kind of work that product in better. I'll talk about some eye products and then also some brushes that you don't have to have them, but they're kind of nice to have. And then just some brushes that I don't really love. So as for eye products, I would say hands down, my absolute favorite brush because of the versatility of it is the Scott Barnes. I believe this is a number 63 blending brush. You can use this for a really, really soft, almost watercolor effect all over color for your shadow. You can use this to apply your crease color. You can use it to blend your crease color. Because of how this is tapered, a lot of times I will go right under my eyes with this one. I absolutely love this brush. I think that it is a must-have for everyone. I used a Lancome blending brush for a very, very long time. This one, the other brush just doesn't even hold a candle to this. This is the best blending brush I've ever had. It's versatile. I cannot recommend this one enough. If you had to buy one brush that was more luxury and expensive, this is the one. This is my pick. Okay, moving on. For eyeshadow, this is the Sappho brush. I like this one. You can see the shape of it. It's kind of like this ovally shape. This one is a little more dense. You can really pack color on with it, which is really, really nice. And so I use that a lot of times for my lid space. Sometimes I'll use it for the crease. Just kind of depends on what I am feeling. Moving on, other must-have brushes that I highly, highly recommend. Liner brushes. This is a flat liner brush. This is fantastic if you are creating a wing and you don't feel like your hand is super steady. You can really just kind of line along the lashes. You can stamp it to create that wing. You can etch it a little bit. You can connect it over. I think having a flat liner brush is an essential. You can also use this if you like to do powder liner, which I do a lot. I don't normally wear this much eyeliner, and I will go in and just kind of stipple and dot on eyeshadow as eyeliner. This is fantastic for that. This one I believe is a Luxie 221 flat definer. I've had this brush for a very long time. It came in like an Ipsy bag, I think, years and years and years ago. It's been a great brush. Next liner brush that I think is essential in everybody's kit is a really, really fine tipped little brush. This is a Bobbi Brown. I've had this one for years. It is the Ultra Fine Eyeliner Brush, and I used to have their gel liner. This one, it's a very, very fine little point though. It's got some eyeliner on it because I used it today. But this one you can make a very crisp line if your hand is a little more steady and you're comfortable dragging that out to create the wing. This is perfect for that. I've used this one with eyeshadow as well. This is a must-have for me. I've had it for years. I love this brush. This is also a great alternative to the straight flat brush. This is an angle brush. This is also from Sappho. I've really, really enjoyed their brushes. This is a really great brush though. Also great for creating wings, great for shadow. I've even used this in my crease if I want a really, really defined line in between the two. I think an angle brush is great. And the nice thing about these Sappho brushes, they're not super long. I don't particularly love when my brushes are super long. I like to use longer brushes to apply makeup on other people, not so much on myself. So I love that their brushes are shorter handled. You can see all of these are really, really short handled. They take up less room in your makeup bag. And one that I think is kind of similar in that way is the Morphe brush. They're all like these just cute little, like a little baby set of brushes. I love these. Okay, another brush that I think is essential depending on how you style your eyebrows. I love having this angled Bobbi Brown brush. It's got the spoolie on one end so you can go and comb through. You can dip into a pomade if you use powder. This works for powder. I've used this brush for years as well. The Brow Groomer. You can find this at Sephora. Moving on to brushes that I like, but I don't think are essential. So this is a Scott Barnes brush. This is like the bronzing contouring brush. I did use this today to put on my bronzer. You can make a really, really wide sweep. It really is nice because of the shape. You can kind of soften and diffuse things out. This fits into the hollows of the cheeks beautifully for contouring. It's great for along the chin and the neckline. This is a great brush. I think it's really, really nice. It's got a decent amount of density. I've used this also to apply blush at different points. I love this brush, but I don't think it's essential. I think it's just kind of one of those ones that's like fun to have in your kit to bust out every now and then. I could see why, as a makeup artist, this would be a fantastic brush to have. It's got a lot of versatility, but I don't think it's like something you must have in your kit. It's just kind of an opinion I have. Something that's kind of unique too to Scott Barnes, he's got a lot of these kind of rounded brushes. You can see this is almost like the baby version for the eye. And I actually really, really love this brush, but I don't think you have to have this. This is really cool if you are kind of like domed around the eyes. You can really get in there, create a really fun shape. You can use this if you're doing a lid color and have a really nice like cut crease. I've used this around my eyebrows. I've used this to contour my nose. This is a really, really cool brush. You don't need it. Another Scott Barnes brush. His brushes are just really, really unique, and I love them for that reason, but you don't need them. This is like the eye winger brush. It's got this really unique kind of curved edge on one side. I love this one for my crease shades. You could also use this one for a nose contour. The size of this one is a little bit smaller in comparison. And so I like this one for my underneath eyeshadows. I actually use this one a lot for that. But again, not essential. This brush, another Scott Barnes, it is, it's like an eye and lip lining brush. It's got a, you can see, kind of curved edge on one side. And this is a very, very sharp kind of, it's not gonna cut you, it's a brush, but it's got a very sharp point and taper to it. So it is really nice. I've used this on my lips before. It's really nice on the eyes. I've used it as a liner. It's just got a really unique kind of fun shape. And you know, I'm an artist. I did some painting classes and stuff like that. I can really appreciate a lot of his brushes. But if you are just kind of, you play with your makeup, you just need to slap it on, you don't really like want to dive into the artistry and you just need something that's functional, his brushes are good, but they're more expensive than say like the Real Techniques brushes. So totally up to you. Now, I hate saying this because I really enjoy the Scott Barnes brushes, but this is just not my favorite brush in the whole wide world. It is his number 68 foundation brush. This, I just feel like with most foundation formulas, it doesn't play well. It like kind of streaks everywhere. I really feel like you have to like kind of slap in there with it. And I just don't love how it applies foundation. I do think it is beautiful if you are like stippling on a blush, if you have like a really thin bronzer, like liquid bronzer. I think this is great for kind of stippling that on. But as far as like a foundation goes, like I don't love this brush for that. It doesn't apply the way that I would like it to. Actually, I'm just gonna show you on my hand really quick. I'm gonna take some of that and just give you a little idea. It just streaks, and like you just have to like really get in there, but it just kind of, I don't know, I don't love it. Well, actually it kind of plays well with this formula. Ha, of course. I guess, okay, so I'll take that back. More liquidy formulas, it works okay with. If it's a thicker formula, you might be blending for like a year. So, okay, more liquidy formulas, it's not so bad. It actually looks pretty nice. That was with the Pacifica foundation, if you were wondering. But yeah, I've used this with a couple of my other foundation formulas and it just didn't work very well. So that is most of my brushes. I do have a couple more that I will, little tips and tricks. This is an old mascara wand. It is an old spoolie that I cleaned off. What I use this for, you could also use it for your brows, but what I use this for is anytime you get like little mascara transfers, wait for that to dry and use this to kind of flick off those little dry bits of mascara. It's fantastic. If you use a Q-tip, sometimes you might mess up your eyeshadow if you're wearing any. This is great to just kind of knock off those little flaky bits once they dry. I think that this is just one of those little hacks that I wanted to share with you. Also, something that is essential for me is a lash curler. This is the Kevyn Aucoin lash curler. I think this was about, I don't know, 20 bucks, 30 bucks at Sephora. I've had it for a while. I don't know. If you like the Bare Minerals or powder foundations, I think the Bare Minerals brush is awesome. The way that it has this kind of like little chambered area in the center, you get a really nice soft blending here, much finer blending on the outer edges. I really, really like this brush. Let's see. I also love having this. I don't always need it to comb through my lashes, but it is helpful. It's nice having a brow product on one end too. And the very final thing I will leave you with is this little silicone brush cleaning dish. Got this for like $4 at TJ Maxx, and this has been a game changer as far as keeping my brushes clean. You have this textured surface on the bottom, gets all your product out. I can't recommend this enough. It does kind of like fold up and pop up for a little more convenient storage. But anyway, that is my brush rundown of what I personally love, what I think is essential, what I think you don't need but is just kind of fun to have. And I hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you liked it, subscribe and let me know what you think below. Thanks, bye!